All right, welcome everyone. If anybody can hear the sound of my voice, maybe raise your hand just to make sure that I see lots of hands going up. Cool. So today I wanted to talk about, well, I'm supposed to be talking about extensions applications, but I've added the and more. And basically, technology set up for being a real estate agent and also systems that might help you, retain your sanity. And I do this, I wanted to do this because I get lots of questions from people, sometimes people starting the real estate business, sometimes people that have been in the real estate business, and they either have questions about what do they need in terms of technology in order to be successful, and sometimes I just see them in chaos, right? And so I wanted to share some things that I found that might help, including some very specific things, most of which are free or close to free, right? Freemium, almost free. So you should have a copy of this handout. We're going to go through a little bit about the basic tech, computers, email, document management, calendar management, mobile apps, and then into some Chrome extensions. Now, my way of explaining what I'm doing today is level one. Maybe kindergarten level, maybe elementary school, but this is still level one. And the first thing for many people that are getting into real estate is they have to get organized. Now, at level 2 or level 3, we start to begin to use more consistently software for customer relationship management. If you're at EXP, it's called KD Core. Keller Williams has something called Command. Coldwell Banker Zap, right there. Everybody's got one, it seems like. And so at a certain level of business, you really need the power that comes behind a professional customer relationship management system, particularly when you start to have hundreds or even thousands of prospects or contacts and you're trying to follow up and who should you call and who do you need to talk to and what do you need to send people. It becomes kind of overwhelming. So by kindergarten or elementary level, we're just, how do you get going and how do you get organized? And then once you get organized and you got going, looking at implementing some of the fancier systems, the more comprehensive systems, right? So basic tools, we're going to talk about some of these. It's not as simplistic as it might look. Some of you think, wow, I already know about this. But one of the really basic things that we're going to talk about, we're going to go through that list, is first of all, do I need a computer? Right, I get that question a lot. And if so, what kind of a computer should I buy? So it's not uncommon for an agent to say to me, I'm just getting going. I need a computer, I guess, for business. Should I go buy a Mac? What should I do? Now, I'm not necessarily, I guess I'm taking sides, but this is just my opinion, right? Do you need like a Mac laptop, right? Do you need that? Well, imagine this. You're sitting at Phil's Coffee, having, your avocado toast, and you open up your laptop and you flip open the top of the laptop and your Apple logo is showing for everybody in the coffee shop to see. And as you look around, you'll notice that most of the people that have their laptops open have the Apple logo, right? You're one of them. Now, I actually have known people that got into real estate agents who picked the Macintosh for their computer simply because it's what their friends in Sphere thought was cool and they wanted to be cool. Now, if you're thinking, I don't really want to be cool, and I don't even know what Phil's Coffee is, or, do I regularly have avocado toast, then maybe you want to do something that's a little less expensive because it could cost you $1,000 just for the Macintosh upgrade. So now what are we looking at? And the real question is, what are we going to use the computer for? Right? I'm going to use it for my real estate business. Well, what exactly do we do with the computer in real estate? And virtually all the time, it involves surfing the web, going to websites, sending emails, emailing reports, and things like that. So even though I've got lots of computers, let's just say, the computer that I use when I'm out in the field, right, when I'm out doing business, the computer I use is a Chromebook. Right? I bought this one some years ago. It's a Samsung Chromebook. And the reason I bought the Chromebook, the things I like about the Chromebook is number one, it's really, really light, right? There's no hard drive, there's no fan. It boots up almost instantly. There's no hard drive, there's no fan, right? It just starts right up. It has a keyboard, which I find easier if I'm writing offers. It can be a tablet if I want to show somebody something that's on the screen. It functions just like a computer, right? A Chromebook, and because essentially what the Chromebook is, it's a browser in a box. Now, one of the things with this is a Samsung. It costs about $600 at the time I bought it. You'll find Chromebooks range from $100 to $1,000. And this was the beginning of the series of Chromebooks that basically run all Android phone apps. And by the way, I have Android phone apps involving Microsoft Office. I can open a Microsoft Office document, an Excel spreadsheet, edit it in Excel, save it, go all using just the Chromebook, right? It needs Wi-Fi, which of course they have at most of the coffee shops. And if you invest a little bit, your phone can be a hotspot. This is something you need to think about, because rarely, and this started years ago, but rarely are you going to be meeting with people in an office environment where you've got a computer, right, and a big screen. We're meeting them out in the field, we're meeting them at their house. I'm just saying, you want a professional headshot. Some of the things I see, frankly, are kind of embarrassing, right? That people, there's this agent, and on his image is a photo that was taken like one of these, entertainment parks or something like that, where he's wearing looks like a cap of a prisoner with a striped shirt, and he's behind bars, and it says his slogan is, he's the most wanted man in real estate. Right now, I'd let go of that kind of stuff. I also believe that you need a domain. Now, I own too many domains. I admit that. I own michaeldevlin.com, mikedevlin.com. You don't want to hear the whole list. Now, what owning a domain allows you to do is, most of the time, the companies we work for are going to provide us a website. And the website is going to have a link, but that link is a subdomain. And if we, for some reason, left the company or wanted to change websites, and we put that subdomain on all of our marketing materials, on our business cards, you understand it's going to take a long time to retool. Whereas if we register a domain from GoDaddy or something like that, costs about $12 a year, and then we forward the domain to wherever we want it to go. So for example, if you type in michaeldevlin.com, you're going to see my EXP website. But if you look at the top, you'll see it's really michael.devlin@exprealty.com, but it forwards. And the value of this is that I could change websites, but I don't have to print new business cards, right? All I have to do is go into GoDaddy and change the forwarding. So the email. Right. This is one of I get emails from agents that are actually, well, not legal, right? Not even legal. And so people are always asking me, should I get a new account? Should I use my current account? What should I do? And my suggestion really is to get a Gmail account. Now, if you're willing to upgrade to something called Google Workplace, I have Google Workplace. I have two of them, as a matter of fact. So I pay $6 a month. And my email, which is mdevlin@michaeldevlin.com, that email is actually read through Gmail. Even though it doesn't say Gmail, it's Gmail, right? And it's a Google Workplace product for $6 a month. I get other advantages for having an upgraded Google account. But remember, we talked about a domain. If you've registered a domain, you can use that domain in your email. Right, $6 a month, right? That's what it costs. And whether or not you need your own business email or not depends kind of on how much you use your email right now. If you hardly ever use it and you don't ever use it, you don't care if this is the issue. the California law says that every time you contact somebody, you have to have your DRE number, you have to have your broker's name, and your name, and so you need to have an email signature. And so if you're using your personal account as your business account, do you attach your email signature on every email you send, including to your sister and to your friends? Do they want to see your logo? Maybe you don't care, right? That'll be nice. It'll remind them I'm in real estate. Or do you not want that your email signature is on all the email? If that bothers you, then create a business email. My suggestion is, no matter where you are, EXP, Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, I don't care, don't use the company email as your primary email. Don't do it. Don't. And because you understand, if your business cards have their email, if that's the email you're using their website, and something goes wrong and you want to leave, you've got problems. Right? I had this happen at a Keller Williams office. When they found out I was leaving, they tried to shut off the email, even though I had transactions going. Right? Isn't that nice? So my suggestion is that they give you an email, you use that for logging in purposes. You want your own email. And it would be best practices if your domain and your email matched. I'm just saying. And now you have control. All right. So I already mentioned to use Gmail. I've tried other systems, but I gave up trying other systems. Many of the large companies, including EXP, already use Google Documents and things like that. Gmail connects to the calendar. I'm going to show you some things that I'll bet you didn't know. Right? I know you're thinking, I already know how to do these things. We'll see, right? Just give me a chance, right? I've got some things that might make your life a lot easier involving that and tasks. And then there's a particular group of extensions that I use called Cloud HQ. And what I've done is I've included the ones that I actually use. And let me just show you an example. Now look at the list. The first, I have to remember the list, right? But this is what my email looks like right now. This is what my email looks like. And I saved one. I get a lot of emails. And first of all, for those of you that aren't familiar with what Google extensions are like, when I click on the calendar icon, notice it shows what my calendar is for today and tomorrow and going on. It shows what my calendar is. If I wanted to know what tasks I have that are for today, here are a list of all the different tasks that I've created. And I'm going to show you an extension that would help with that. Now, I don't use, this is Google Keep, which is a note. I don't do that as often. This is Google Voice, Google Contacts. I don't really spend much time on the other ones. But this one at the top, which is called Copilot, is something that comes from Cloud HQ. Right, so if I click on Cloud HQ and I go to my dashboard, you can see here are the ones. It's the list I gave you pretty much. And that's Gmail Copilot. Now, what does Gmail Copilot do? It's an installed extension. What does it do? Well, I noticed I got an email from an old friend, well, I don't know, a business acquaintance. And Molly McGee, she used to be at Keller Williams back when I used to be at Keller Williams. She's over in the Carmel area. Now, first of all, notice in this bar across the top, it says Molly McGee is tracking this email. How do I know that? And the answer is because I installed an extension called Free Email Tracking Blocker. Because maybe I don't want Molly to know that I've read her email. Maybe I don't, right? If I do, I just click and now I've unblocked it and now Molly knows I read her email, right? But if I wanted to not acknowledge that I read her email, I just wouldn't unclick it. All right, so here's Molly's, newsletter. How you doing, Molly? But look over here to the right. This first icon up here is Gmail Copilot. And notice it notices that I'm reading an email from Molly McGee, and look what it does. Automatically, It summarizes. There's a picture that goes to the contact I have of Molly. If I wanted to see what Molly is tweeting about, I would click there. If I wanted to check her LinkedIn connection, I would check there. If I had sent her any tracked emails, they would be listed here. If I had kept notes about our interactions, they would be listed there. If I had set a reminder or have attachments or files that I want to connect to this contact, I could attach them and connect them right there. This is called Gmail Copilot. It's considered to be a mini CRM. And then notice all of the emails that Molly has sent me. And by the way, all the emails, which aren't any, that I sent back to her would be listed here right there so I could find them. This program, this extension, Cloud HQ, Gmail Copilot, does not cost anything, right? The unblock email, the block, the block, the email tracking does not cost anything. Doesn't cost anything. Just saying. Now, when I go to my inbox, I start on the left-hand side, and you'll notice over on the left-hand side, I have some things that appear in my Gmail that may not look like your Gmail. This sorted sent mail, sorted received mail, and I start with sorted all mail. Here, let me see, is there a question? Your sound is intermittent. Is anybody else having trouble with the sound other than Jerry? Nobody else. Sorry, Jerry, it's not me. As I've told you before, Jerry, it's not me, it's you, right? I'm just saying. How did I get those icons to appear on the side? Those are just extensions that you have to have and added, right? I'm not on those things. Pretty much just appeared because I added them to Gmail, to Google. All right, over here, notice I have sorted sent mail, sorted received mail, and sorted all mail. This is where I begin when I'm in my inbox. And what I do is I click on sorted all mail unread. Now, notice up here in the search box what that program is looking through. It's looking for everything, whether, notice, in trash or in spam. If I haven't seen it and it wants me to know, you haven't seen any of it. A lot of times, and by the way, if I can teach it to, I don't want to see something anymore, but this is where I start. Right. Now, if I wanted to look at emails I've sent, notice one of the choices is tracked emails, tracked. This comes from a Cloud HQ free program called Free Email Tracker. And when you install that extension and I send an email to somebody, it's going to track it. Of course, the other person might have heard of email tracking blocking and block it, but anyhow, we do the best we can. Now, if I click on tracked emails, this is going to show me, you see that icon here, the one that looks like a, it looks like an RSS. That's what it looks like to me. That's dark. That means that this was tracked and read, right? That this was tracked. That's why it's doing that. And so if I want to see, I'll click on this. Things seem to be slowing down for some reason. But I can look at all of the tracked emails I've sent. Boy, this is really slow. Here, let's try this again. All right. Don't know. We're going to spend just a couple more minutes on this. More things have come in. So when I go over here to sorted sent mail and I go to tracked emails, and let me find one I don't mind everybody seeing. Here's one is about an offer we didn't make. And so this is an email I sent to an agent regarding that property. That's the agent's email address. He read it 4 times. Right? He didn't, this shows what, if anything, that was clicked. And down here, I can set reminders, right? So if somebody isn't opening my email, I can set it up so it reminds me that somebody, hey, they haven't opened your email. They haven't replied yet. How did you get your extensions to appear on the side? I have extensions also. I don't know, Sandra, right off the top of my head, when I did that. I don't remember. Right? I don't remember. I just, it's always been that way, these extensions. Now, down here, I don't know if you have, I don't have an empty one to start with, but down here, you notice it says get add-ons. And if you click on get add-ons and you go through the marketplace, that's where I connected all of these things in the first place. This extension is called, I searched Copilot and it's not coming up. I don't know what what we're looking for is called Cloud HQ, right? Now, if you're saying I went to Google and the Google store and it's not there, yes, it is. I know it is. It just may take a little bit of look to find where is Google, where is it here? Google Chrome store. So if you go to the Google Chrome store, and first of all, if you just type in Cloud HQ, right, which pops up right away, here's some of the Cloud HQs. Now, this is not all of them, right? But if you install one of them or you open it up, you're going to eventually get to the Cloud HQ dashboard. And what you do is you log in using your email, the Google account you want to install the extensions on, and don't install all the extensions. Don't do it, right? I tried, I thought, wow, that's cool. I'll try that, I'll try that, I'll try that. It slows down the program a lot. It gets a little clustered. So that's the group. All right, so Cloud HQ, very easy to do. Right, I've got sort Gmail inbox. That's the one that put all the unread together, the ones that I had sent and tracked but hadn't been opened, all of those things. I also use occasionally the free video email for Gmail. And so let's say an agent asks me a question. So I need to answer their question, but it's like sometimes I get like a whole bunch of questions and they're really open-ended questions. And so rather than me necessarily typing up all the answers, I just want to say it. So down at the bottom here in the Gmail, you'll notice I have some icons that you may not recognize. The first one is a loom. I'm not going to get into that. The second one is a template, which is like a Google Doc. Here is a draft template. Here is HTML. Here's a tracking option. But you see this one? This is, and it takes a while to load and it may not want to do it, but what this is going to do is it's going to, and it's not going to do it because I'm using the webcam, but it's going to, what it's going to do is that window is going to open up. The camera is going to go on, the microphone will go live. I click on record, I can record a message, right? I can record a video. When I'm done, it drops it into the email and I can just send it. That program does not cost anything, doesn't cost anything. And that's that little icon down there, record. And so the other things that come with this is there's some templates and things like that. All right. So back, what's on my list? That was more than you wanted. Let me just mention something, and this is just my thing, right? Most agents have terrible email signatures, terrible. Now, on one end, I get emails from real estate agents that they're sending where there's no email signature at all. And the problem with that is, number one, Department of Real Estate, the real estate law says you have to include your DRE number and the name of your broker on all first contact you have with the client. Right? I'm just saying. And the Department of Real Estate likes to fine people for not doing stuff. So you're supposed to have you're supposed to do that. Now, either there's nothing, or what I see that agents do, and EXP has one of these as well, is their company generates a banner email signature for them. And it's got their picture, and it's got the company logo, and it's got the company colors, and it's got all that kind of stuff. And the problem with that is that unless you're willing to pay for special email signatures, those are not clickable links. And you just need to realize that most of the people that are reading your email are reading it on a cell phone. And so if I sent you an email and you to your cell phone and you wanted to call me, wouldn't it be nice if I made it easy for you to call me, which would involve putting in my phone number as a hyperlink that can be called, right? My email is you'll know because I emailed to you, but my web page, everything is a hyperlink, and the image, although it looks nice, I guess, doesn't look so nice on the cell phone, right? Because you're reading a much smaller, piece of real estate, and it's not clickable links. So you ought to have, that's my opinion. And I've included a couple of free, yes, free companies that will give you an email signature. And by the way, the second one, emailsignaturegenerator.com, right, is, I'm just going to, which is actually how I created mine. And then I added to it, that comes from our friends at CloudHQ, right? This is CloudHQ again. And if you install this, it'll go through, and that allows you to put in your social media links and all that kind of stuff. You put in a picture, you can keep to all that. How do I get that video icon, please? The reason I have that video icon in my email is because I installed the free video email for Gmail. I installed it. What you're going to find is that when you install these different extensions, and don't overdo it, when you install those different extensions, it adds functionality to Gmail, right? In my Gmail, there's now a little video icon, and if I click on it, this program will allow me to make and record a video and embed it into Gmail. Yes, and I haven't mentioned anything so far that costs money. Right now, they do have CloudHQ, some upgraded ones, but we're not necessarily going to get into that. All right. And most companies have a disclaimer. This is EXP's disclaimer, which you ought to put in your email signature. Both of the companies that I gave you links where you could, have them make you an email signature that you could copy and paste in, have spots for you to put in disclaimers. All right. And then some of you have seen before, I use a program called YAM, which is a program that does email merge for Gmail. And what it allows you to do is to get a spreadsheet with names and email addresses. This is how many of you heard about my training. This is the program. And so you have a spreadsheet with first name, last name, email address, whatever the fields are. And then you write in Gmail a draft email, and then it'll merge the two. And it does a real mail merge, which means if I send out 50 emails, it doesn't BCC or copy people. It generates 50 individual emails and sends them out. And this is free up to, I think it's like 50 or 100 a day. I have a more expensive version. I have the $28 a year professional version. That's true, $28 a year. And I can send out 1,500 emails, which are tracked and everything, every 12 hours, every 24 hours, 1,500 every day. All right, and it tracks and gives you reports and everything like that. So if you want to do it yourself, I want to send people my newsletter like Molly sent me, this is a program that would let you do that. All right, $28 a year. Yeah, that's the first one that's cost money. Then the other thing, I coach and mentor agents. I think I'm getting to the part that I really, or documents. So if you're at EXP, first of all, if you're on my team, my coaching program, I have a document library, which is a shared drive, which you would create a shortcut for in your Google Documents. And then EXP has handouts with logos and things like that. If you're not at EXP, I bet your company has something like this too. And so I would make sure those documents, And even though they're shared, you can put a shortcut in your drive. And you ought to have folders. You ought to create some folders, like, and this is just an example, but any administrative type of stuff, buyers and sellers, what would you be putting in here? How about documents and subfolders? So if I have a buyers folder, and if I have a buyer in that's in the folder, they have their own folder, a subfolder. And so their pre-approval letter, their proof of funds, transactions that we are interested in or have written articles or written offers on, those would be subfolders based upon the address of the property. That's where the disclosures and other things would go. And then I usually share the folder, the buyer's folder, with the buyer so that they could add stuff like a revised pre-approval letter, or they could look at a disclosure or something I put on the different properties. Sellers are the same thing. You would do it by the address of the property, and other documents that you would keep, you'd put there. Clients, which really means database. Do you have any, is the title company giving you a list of leads or a list of people in a given area? Do you have any of that stuff about a farm? Put that in that folder. Marketing, knowledge would be classes and training like this, right? And systems would be things like your customer relationship management system and documentation that goes with that sort of thing. Google Calendar. I'm going to show you something that you may not know about Google Calendar. It's really new, really new. But my suggestion is you ought to use it. Now, even if you're saying, well, I have an iPhone and I don't use Android, and I have my Apple, laptop, and I use Safari. And if you use the Apple native systems, it's not going to work as well as this. It just doesn't. And by the way, I guess I'm really into the Google stuff because my cell phone is a Pixel. And the reason I picked that over the Samsung is I didn't want all of Samsung's garbage in the phone. I didn't want to use their calendar. I didn't want to use their email. I wanted to use Google. And the reason is because of the seamless integration. And even if you have a Mac and even if you have an iPhone, you can still download the apps for Google Calendar. You can still do it. And you can show it in Gmail. Remember, I added that little icon to the side so I could look at it in Gmail. If I had realized that it was not an obvious thing, I would have practiced a little bit more. And anyhow, just because you're using an iPhone doesn't mean you can't use these things. When I'm showing property in particular, this becomes important, because I can invite the clients. So if I'm showing property, if I go to Google Calendar, and let's say this Saturday, right, I was going to show property at a particular time. And if we were looking at 3 or 4 properties, depending upon their geography, I would be scheduling the showings for 30 to 45 minutes. Right, depending on how far away the different properties are. And then once I created the event, I would add the buyers as guests. I would put in the address as a location. And here, I didn't want to do that. Let me just add a location. This isn't necessarily where we're sure. I just wanted something simple. I can add a description or attachments. So for example, if there were something regarding that property that I wanted to include that had been sent to me by the listing agent, a description just means I could type stuff. What might I type in there? Let's say there's a combo box on the property showing instructions. I might put that all in there. And then I'm going to, and I would have added my clients as guests, and then I'm going to save it. Now, when it comes time to show the property, now I would have a string of these. Before I go, and because this has to be done from a real computer, not a cell phone, what I would do is I would look at it. And one of the choices now which maybe I haven't saved it yet. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Down there on the left, right above description, this is new. It says create meeting notes. And if I were to, I didn't invite a guest. Let me just, how about Molly McGee? How about Molly? Right. She's not at KW, but let's say Molly was my buyer. She won't mind. And we're going to go look at this property. So I've added her. When I save this, she's going to get an email invitation. But also when I go down to the bottom there under description and I click on create meeting notes, what's going to happen, it is when I save the event, and I don't want to do that, but because I don't want it to go to Molly. But when I save the event, I can, here, meeting notes. I took Molly's name off, but what it does when I click on that button is it creates an automatic Google document regarding that appointment. And if I had invited my clients, their names would be here too. And if there were other names, there would be a box that had popped up with Google asking me if I wanted to share the documents. Now, on my cell phone, one of the things I like about Google Documents is it works really well on the cell phone. So when I'm at the property, I can open up this document, right? The meeting notes isn't as easy to access on the phone, but the document is right there as a recent document, and I can speak and it'll type notes, and I can type action items and share it with the client just by clicking on the button, just by doing that. And so this is why I use Google Calendar for these kind of scheduling things. I can attach stuff, I can put in notes, I can, put in codes and things like that. Okay, I have, all right. Just say, all right, what else? There's a few more things. So that the meeting notes was I think an important thing. My suggestion is if you want your life to be a little bit more manageable, time block when you're planning to have conversations with people, time block your appointments, time block times you're not in the office, time block projects and classes. I'm working on my listing presentation, and you ought to get a calendar app. Like many of you know, I have a Calendly app, and I'm going to show you how there are ways in which I get a lot of people that make appointments with me on the Calendly app, and it's also something you could share on your phone. Mobile apps. On your phone, you need to have, I believe, the Realtor's Property Resource. Now, I didn't hook up the phone so you can see what's on the screen, but I have RPR on the phone. Now, it's going to want me to log in. My suggestion is that in the morning, before you go show property, well, it's doing some weird things. I'm not going to worry about that. You go ahead and log in. So if I'm showing property or if I'm going on a listing appointment, before I go, I would log into RPR, the Realtor's Property Resource. I would find the properties and I would save the property. The reason I'm going to do that is when I get there on my cell phone, when I open up RPR, the app, it's one of the buttons is saved properties. And if I click on that button, it's going to show me all the saved properties, including the one I'm in front of. Also, RPR works on GPS, so it'll know that I'm standing in that property, and it'll say, is this the property? And I click on it, and now I have all the information pretty much that I would have in RPR. I know when it was built, I know if it has air conditioning, I can read the private and public remarks from the agent, I can look at comparables, I can text or call the agent, I can get driving directions, but I got a phone. So that one is very, very valuable. I use it on listing appointments. When we show up and what we thought the house was going to look like is not what it looks like, and so our comps aren't any good, and I want to quickly come up with some comparable properties in the area, RPR does that. Zip Forms has a mobile version. Now, I actually have people that I work with who say, look, I got a client, I'm sure we're going to write an offer on Sunday. We might do it in field. How can I do that? And the answer is you go into zip forms when you got a computer and you start all of the transactions. So if there's 4 properties you think you might be writing an offer on, you start each one of the 4, which means you've got the client information and your information, listing information, all that stuff. So all you need is price and some of the terms. And then if you've done that and your clients are like, can we make an offer right now on this one? You're like, sure. Because on your phone, you can log into zip forms. And if all you need to do is change the price and loan amount and a few things like that, that you can do on the phone. Of course, if you're carrying a laptop or a Chromebook, it's a little bit easier, but I write counter offers and things oftentimes on zip forms mobile. You also ought to have, like KV Core is the software program that EXP agents and some others use. I would also, there's an app for that. The Google Suite, which includes even the calendar, Google Docs, and Google Voice, if you're using the Google Voice as like a marketing one. Zoom as an app. Clipboard History. I'll get back to that. Microsoft Office, there's an app. So if somebody sends me a document that's in Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel or PowerPoint, I can open it and mess with it on my cell phone. You should have your E-key, right, the open up, and you should practice. And Lastpass. Now this costs something, and I don't remember exactly what it costs. I don't know. But what Lastpass and Clipboard History, we're now moving into the areas of extensions, and I'm going to get back to the homepage links. Let me show you what I mean. So notice this red box up here, and it says 15. So I watch real estate agents struggle a lot of times, and they struggle with one, organization. Now, what you're looking at is my Google screen. This is Chrome. But notice I have all these tabs across the top. You may not have tabs like this across the top. Where did they come from? And the answer is I use a Chrome extension, which is called Speed Dial 2, right? See that here? Homepage link, Speed Dial 2. This is about a homepage link. We're talking about an extension. And what it allows me to do is I can change the theme. I could make it look different. I could change it to a dark versus the light or auto. I could make the number of columns to where I like it, whatever. Now, if all I'm doing is one computer, Speed Dial tool doesn't cost anything. But I have several computers, and so I pay something, not very much, but I don't remember what it is, where it synchronizes between all my computers. If I add, and how would I add something? Let's say I wanted this page to be bookmarked. That's really what we're talking about. I right click and I go to Speed Dial 2, and then notice it gives me all the different groups I've created, and I would just drop it in the one that was appropriate. I would just drop it in. And as soon as I've done that, I go to another computer using Chrome, that bookmark is there. So what kinds of things do I have? I have all the Google stuff. In real estate, RPR, the MLS, California Association of Realtors, local association, Department of Real Estate. The COVID-19 thing may not be hopefully as important. Breakthrough Broker, Redfin's data center, somebody else's data center, Department of Real Estate, Zillow stuff. Marketing things from the California Association of Realtors, Chicago Title, transfertax.com. This is a web page that allows me to find out in Humboldt County, right, who pays traditionally by, escrow and title. It's right there. I have a lot of them. Chicago Title Premium. See, I see agents struggling to find just the web page. Right? They want me to help them with something. They can't even find the web page that we're supposed to log in. Once they find the web page, Right? Once you find the web page, the next thing you have to do is log in. Now, notice when I went to realtor.com for professionals, my email address, and you might be saying, well, mine does that too because my computer does it. But what this is that little box here, the little black box that says to, and up in the top, the one that's red, this is Lastpass. And Lastpass is a program, it's an extension that remembers passwords. So the idea is the password to LastPass is the last password I need to remember. LastPass, this is a nominal fee, also has a phone app, as I mentioned on the previous slide, which means that if I need to log into a web page and I don't remember the login, LastPass does. LastPass even has its own mobile browser. So if I log into LastPass, I could say, take me to realtor.com and log me in, and it'll take me there and log me in, right? And so first of all, we have remembering where all the websites are. And if you look at my list, one of the biggest lists is EXP, right? It's a lot of stuff. And because EXP is a feature-rich company, and so there's all these different things, and so I've created a different bookmark for each one. Now, LastPass and Speed Dial 2 together is what makes my life go a lot saner, because I don't spend as much time looking for the website or logging in. Both of these are on my cell phone. Speed Dial 2 isn't an app on the phone, but the URL, I'm in the wrong spot, but the URL for Speed Dial 2 is a URL that I saved that web page on my home page on my phone. I remember LastPass will log in if I get logged out. And so when I click on that on my phone, it shows me the same categories that you're looking here, and all of the web pages underneath them, they're all on my phone. So if I need to find a website and it's one of the ones I bookmarked, I find it on the phone. What's the password? LastPass remembers, logs me in, we're gone. I see real estate agents spend a lot of time looking for websites and then trying to remember their password. Now, one of the other icons up here, so the red one was LastPass. This green one that says 150. What that's referring to, and I'm not going to click on it because then you would see. I'm not going to click on it, but this is called Clipboard History. Oops, Clipboard History Pro. That's what it's called. And what Clipboard History Pro does, this isn't necessarily the best, but I'm going to make it bigger. What Clipboard History Pro does is it's keeping track of every time I copied something. How do you save and add a bookmark URL to the phone's home screen? Good question, Sandra. So what you do on your phone is you go to the website. Now, the easiest way I have found to find websites on my phone that I haven't saved is I go to Google Docs and I create a document and I put in all the URLs and the names of the websites. That's an alternative to Speed Dial. And then on my phone, I open up Google Docs, I find the document, those are all hyperlinks. So let's say I create, or I could just remember what Speed Dial 2's URL is, which is speeddial2.com, I think, something like that. So on my phone, I would use the browser, Chrome browser, doesn't really matter for that, but why not? And I would navigate to the login of the web page, Speed Dial 2. And then in the top right on the Android phone, there's little dots and you click on them and this thing drops down. And one of the things on that drop down list is add web page to home screen. When you click on that, it will add a link to that web page to the home screen on your phone. So the next time when I need to go there, all I have to do is click on that icon which I have one for speed dial too, and I have one for Clipboard Pro, and it will take me right to that list of all of my saved bookmarks. All right. So what does Clipboard History do Pro? Notice up here, it says all fave cloud mobile, right? It doesn't really say that anymore. The mobile one is gone, but it has, in mine, it would say all fave, and cloud. All right. So what that means is in all, anything that I have copied recently, like the last 150 times, is listed there. If it's something I use a lot on this computer, then I select it as a favorite. And when I go to this computer and I click on that, like for example, the loan agent that I refer people to, the title rep I send people to, right? Things that I use again and again, addresses that I have to put in again and again, I've saved all those as favorite. If it's something, a link, a paste, it could be text, it could be a link, whatever in the clipboard, if it's something that I would like to be available on my phone or on other devices, I pick cloud. And if I pick cloud, if I go to another computer, log in, I have an account, right? Log in. If I go to another computer and I click on cloud, the thing that I had copied on the other computer is right there for me to use. And I can paste it into an email or I can paste it in something. Right. So because of this, sometimes when we're filling out disclosures and things like that, we have our DRE number, the office DRE number, the listing agent's DRE number, the listing broker DRE number, our address, their address, my email, their email. You have all these things that sometimes you're going back and forth, right? Because you have to copy and paste and copy and paste. This shows all of the things that I've copied recently. So sometimes I just copy things, copy, because and then close the document because I still have them. They're still in Clipboard History Pro. It saves a lot of time, right? What else? That's so Lastpass, Clipboard History Pro, and then these are some of the other homepage links that I have. Taskboard, Calendly. I've talked about speed dial. What is Taskboard? Well, across the top, you're going to see some icons. One of them is a blue icon, and it says desktop ask for, I click on it, and it's going, well, I want you to sign in. All right. Sign in. All right. So what this is going to do, once I get signed in, Google, now you're being fussy. Why now? Of all the times, you guys, you could just let me log in. All right, I don't know why it's doing this. Probably because I cleaned out the cache. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to do something. Let me just see what it does. Maybe if it's, I had not expected that this program, this is the first time this extension did not load when I wanted it to load, ever. But of course, people are watching. So if it doesn't do it this time, I'm going to wait. All right, so they have pictures. So one of the things in Google, when we're looking at all these different icons, one of them is tasks. And if I click on it, it shows all these different tasks that I've set up. Now, if I hover at the top, it says add a task. Notice it's still doing it right here. Now, what the clipboard, what this allows me to do, and when it's working at least, is it allows me to open up the tasks. I'm going to try it one more time. Let me just try it one more time. And if it doesn't work, I'll show you on a different browser. sometimes the cache gets filled. It's not happy with that. So I don't know if this browser, if I have it set up here. This is the Chromium browser, and no, of course not. That would be. So we'll save that for another time, right? We'll save that for another time. But what happens, and once I restart the computer and do all that, it's going to let me log in. It shows me all of my Google tasks using Google Tasks in a full screen where I can create columns of things. And in Google Tasks, you can assign a time. Here, this I can do over here. You can assign times, you can attach documents, you can add links. Oh, I really wish you guys would just open. Anyhow, you can do a lot more with Google Tasks. So if I were going to do something and add a task, I could put in the task, the date, the time, and under details. And if I'm using, I can create subtasks. If I use that other program, it gives me a full screen, not this little thing to work on for the tasks. And it gives you some more options, but I guess I'm not going to, that one I'm not going to show as much. Calendly, I've also saved that on my phone. So if somebody wants me to send, if I want to send them a calendar appointment, right, I have the link, I can copy and paste it. And Breeze is a program from Skyslope that works on a phone. It's a page link, but it's a mobile one. And that allows me to have somebody fill out a TDS and SPQ and things like that. You also, my suggestion for your phone is that you want to create your own Google contact of yourself and do it in such a way that it's obvious that this is something you've created, like put your DRE number in as part of your name, because in that Google contact, you want to make it all business, a link to your website, your email address, your cell phone number, and your California Department of Real Estate license number, the name of your broker. You make that as complete as possible, put a picture, do all that. And then when you're talking to somebody, rather than handing a paper business card back and forth, share your contact information. eXp World, of course, is something that we use to access eXp World and all the social media platforms. All right. So these are the Chrome extensions that I typically use. Taskboard, surprising that it's not working. Clipboard History Pro, that group of Cloud HQ, Lastpass, and then there's something called Mercury Reader. And then I'm going to be slowing down. So let's say I were to go to a news article, right? And here is, let me find one. Let me just find something. How about this? For, let's say this article, we'll see if they're going to notice what's happening. First of all, there's a pop-up. It wants me to accept cookies. So I click on that. Now, as I'm scrolling down, this one isn't so bad, but sometimes there's pop-ups and banner ads and all this other kind of stuff, and it's kind of hard to read. I just want to read the article. If I go over here to the top, and the third icon looks like a little spaceship, if I click on that, what it does is it strips out the article from ads and some of the pictures that it doesn't think are actually relevant. Notice it kept the ones showing about stocks. It's a lot easier to read. It's a lot easier to quote. It's you know, and sometimes when you go to a site and it says you have to pay, you have to be a subscriber, we're not going to show you. When I click on Mercury Reader, whatever it's doing breaks through that wall and I'm looking at the article. Doesn't work all the time, but many times it works, breaks through the article. What did I click on? There's an icon up at the top that is a, it looks like a little spaceship, and it's called Mercury Reader, right? And, you know, and Mercury Reader, see that red icon here? That's what it looks like, right? When you're using it, it's red. When you're not using it, it just looks just dark. right? It's a free extension and it makes it easier to read things, right? Also, did you know that Microsoft Office will give you a free account for Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and a bunch of others for free? Did you know that? For free? And if you go to office.com, you can have access to most of the Microsoft Office suite, most of it for free, right? Because we're real estate agents and we want to do things for free. Check that out. Well, that's the end of our hour. These are just some of the things that I use. They may not be the best, but I don't know, it works for me. And of these, the speed dial tool, organizing the websites you need to go to regularly, right? Or at least often enough that you don't want to have, that you know you're going to have to find it, coupled with Lastpass, right? Those two together, both being on the phone, saves me a lot of time, right? Saves me a lot of time. Anyhow, that's it for me. Hope you found something useful. Any questions, reach out to me. Any other subjects you're interested in, send me a line. I'm always looking for something else. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.